Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of credibility in persuasion. In persuasion, look, if you come to an audience and say, today, I'm going to inform you, well, your credibility there is very important, right? However, if I come to you and say, I'm going to persuade you, and you know I'm here to persuade you, how much of, you think my credibility importance goes up? I believe it does, because I'm actually trying to change something about you, change your mind and your attitude, your actions, those types of things. So my credibility is important to you, right? There are two factors of credibility in your quiz today. What are they? First one is competence. What does competence mean? Okay, your ability, yeah, your knowledge. Okay, good. What is character? Second one is character. Competence and character, two factors of credibility. I'll start with a C. What is character? Okay, who I am. What do you mean? Do I seem to be a good person? With your best interest? We talked about goodwill, with your best interest in mind. Do I have good character? Am I likable? Those. So competence, do I know what I'm talking about? And do I have a good presence, character? Competence and character, those are both very important. In persuasion, it's a little different from informative speaking. You are advocating for a side, but we've talked in informative speaking where you come out and say, so today, in the thesis statement, I hope to inform you about point 1 and point 2, right? Remember that? From just the other day. Point 1 and point 2. You do not do that in a persuasive speech. Does anybody know why? Why would you not come right out and say, so today, I hope to persuade you about...
Persuasion is not...
Right, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, why can't I come right out and say, I'm here to persuade you?
It's got a negative connotation of being persuaded. Most people don't want to be persuaded. It just happens.
Yeah, we don't mind to sit there and you inform us, right? That's harmless. We're just going to go learn something. That's okay. You don't have a motive. But all of a sudden, in persuasion, you have a motive, right? And so we put up a wall between us and the person who is speaking, what they were saying. And it becomes very difficult to get past that. And so we don't make the announcement, I'm here to persuade you today. We don't have a thesis statement. We just work through these 5 steps. Get the attention, build the need. What's next? Offer satisfaction. Here's the answer. And then we say, now imagine, visualization. And then we do the call to action, right? Important step. So let's look here. Some of the things we're going to look at today. Building credibility, using evidence, reasoning, and appealing to emotions. We'll also probably look at fallacies. Okay, there are 3 phases of credibility. From your quiz, we've already looked at one of those. The 3 phases are initial, derived, and terminal credibility. When somebody stands before us in a persuasive speech, or any situation really, and talk to us, we're making decisions about their credibility in 3 different phases. Before they stand up to speak, we see the person. And as they start, we make a decision. Is this person credible? Should I believe this person? And then the person starts talking. About 2 or 3 minutes in, you begin to realize, well, this person seems to know more about me and about this topic, and it's a pretty good person. More than I thought they would be, right? So the credibility goes up. And then as they sit down, as they conclude and sit down, we make a decision, right? Kind of a final decision. This is our terminal credibility. It has nothing to do with their death. But if you think, well, I don't do that. I don't make these types of decisions. We know here on this campus, if you have a chapel presentation, you're sitting up in the audience, and you see somebody sitting down there on the floor, or in a chair on the floor, about to speak, and you look at that person, you often probably think, oh man, this is going to be bad, right? Because that way that person looks. And that person may stand up, start speaking, and really impress you. That's their derived credibility. And then once they finish, you're going to make a decision. It's critical listening. It's not critical as in you're criticizing, being negative, but critical means you're listening because you have to make a decision based upon that, like you do as voters. You have to listen to what political figures say because you have to vote, make a decision on whether you're going to believe this person. So there are 3 phases of the credibility there. Let's look at using evidence. We've already talked about informative speaking, using evidence, using testimonies, right? Using, what else? Statistics, numbers, and examples, right? So you can use those same things here. This is a 3-minute speech. You have less time. However, you can still fill this time with good information using statistics, testimony, and examples. So evidence. We're going to look a few tips here for using evidence. You need to make sure that your evidence ties in to what you are trying to, the claim you're making. Ties into the claim you are making. So if I say this campus is ripping you off, well then I need to bring something in to back that up, right? I cannot have random evidence and hope you make a connection. Because if I make a claim and then I have random evidence and somebody is really paying close attention, your credibility falls to the floor. Now in some situations, maybe you'll find yourself in the future where you are talking to an audience trying to convince them about something, and they are already on your side. It doesn't matter what you say, it's the greatest thing ever. That's pretty simple, right? It's pretty easy to talk to that audience, and you can make crazy claims and have no evidence or just evidence that doesn't apply whatsoever, and they think, well, that makes so much sense. It really works. A couple examples. It's been a while back now, but I was visiting at a church, and in a major U.S. city, and there was this very affluent church group and very wealthy people. This church of maybe 600 or 800 people. On Sunday morning, one of the guys stood up and said, here at this church, we want to make sure that our kids, it was a Sunday before Easter, he said, we want to make sure our children know that Easter isn't just about Easter bunnies. We want them to know that it's not just about chocolate and candy and Easter bunnies and those things. We want them to know that it's really about Jesus. So, next Sunday, on Easter Sunday, we're going to cancel Bible classes and have an Easter egg hunt out on the lawn. And I sat there. For some reason, we were sitting toward the front. And I'm not joking. I looked around this big building with a balcony to see if anybody else had noticed. What's wrong with that statement? Yeah, it's the exact opposite, right? But if you've bought in and whatever that person says is golden, it doesn't matter, does it? You just listen. You're on neutral. But not all audiences are that way. You shouldn't be that way if you listen. You should listen critically and make decisions. Another situation, a church a while back was hoping to build on about a $1.7 million addition to a building. And so a guy stood up on a Sunday morning and said, here, we're going to do this addition, and it's important that you know this, and we're going to have to raise money and all these things. Now, somebody like me, I'm not a real big fan of spending millions of dollars on buildings and churches. So I was listening critically. Now, some people in the church had already bought in. The church did something very, very smart for marketing here. This is very good. Who has the money at a church? Is it you? Your age group? It's the old people. Retired people. You're exactly right. That's where most of your money, middle to upper middle age to retirement. Those are your money people. And they care about certain things that you don't care about. We talked about that audience analysis. They care about things you don't care about. What they care about is leaving a legacy, right? And so those who are doing this building campaign started using that kind of language, leaving a legacy. Ooh. Now, someone like me, that doesn't appeal to me, right? Because I hopefully have a lot longer life before I have a legacy, before I'm dead. So, it doesn't appeal to me. Now, them, though, it appeals. You mean I can leave a legacy by donating hundreds of thousands of dollars so we can build this building? That's my legacy. So they bought into this. And so when somebody would get up to talk about it, people had already bought in. Some people had already bought in. I hadn't bought in. And so here's what I heard. The guy stood up on Sunday and he said, here at this church, we've been a small church group, about 300 people. He said, because of that, we're very close to each other. We've had a real family atmosphere. We've helped raise each other's children in this small church group atmosphere. We've been a part of each other's lives. Because of that, we know we've raised children here, one of which at the time, one of who was working in a presidential political campaign a few years back, and has a potential of having a lot of influence in our nation's capital. Another person was working in Hollywood, in television, has potential to have influence in Hollywood.